What's the most shocking detail from the Epstein files that you think the public still doesn't fully grasp? That we're seeing the tiniest fraction of what the Epstein files even are. It's 14 terabytes. The Epstein files are videos. The FBI seized hundreds of recordings and photos, and even that was only part of what was there. Pam Bondi herself has said it includes child abuse. Even though Epstein is dead, that material is still prima facie evidence of child abuse. The FBI has had it for almost 7 years. Obviously, they can't release recordings of child abuse, but what are they doing about identifying the victims and abusers in that material? How many have been identified, and how many are yet to be identified? That's the Epstein list I want to see. Pam Bondi herself has said it includes child abuse. Wonder who is in those photos. Probably wouldn't just be the children, but the perpetrators too. Obviously, they can't release recordings of child abuse, but what are they doing about identifying the victims and abusers in that material? It is weird, isn't it? There must be photo evidence of many abusers, but they were not charged. How? I was never convinced that Epstein was killed. I was never against the idea, but it always seemed people jumped to that conclusion too easily and too quickly. But now, after everything that happened, I'm sure he didn't willingly die. He was killed or pressured into killing himself. The risk Epstein posed to people in power was too great to let him live. The things he could have revealed would crumble countries. For example, I just learned that Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem sent a photo of Angela Merkel when she was a child at the beach, probably naked, as was common and normal in Eastern Germany at the time, to Epstein. Very fucked. Can you imagine what they did that they wouldn't share over email? That only Maxwell is in prison. In a cushy minimum security prison at that, and being given access to things that regular prisoners aren't. Well, yeah, that's what money buys. Also bought her silence. But in time, she will squeal. And then mysteriously die and be on the same island as Jeffrey is right now. Leon Black shows up multiple times in victims' writing, naming him as an abuser, yet he paid a $62.5 million settlement to the Virgin Islands for immunity in the investigation into Epstein's network. Where is this guy? All these men in the files and only a woman is in jail. It is shocking that so many involved faced no prison time. That both Epstein and Maxwell were both accused and essentially convicted of child trafficking, but we aren't allowed to find who they were trafficked to. If the party of the rule of law was actually following the law, there'd be so many indictments by now. I'm flabbergasted by the lack of investigating. The Epstein files are the investigation. There have been 5 administrations with knowledge and names of perpetrators. That they release the names and faces of the victims, but fight tooth and nail to protect the suspects. And nudes of the victims, apparently. That they withheld the files related to torture and death cases, meaning there are files related to torture and death cases. People say, eat the rich. Turns out the rich are eating us. Even freaking cannibalism was mentioned. It's pretty nuts. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. Thinking about all the Republicans who were outraged about the elite's supposed sex trafficking of kids in 2020, including claims that they were eating kids. Oh wait, turns out it was true and worse than we thought. But it implicates Trump, so never mind. The silence is deafening. Kinda makes you wonder about this bizarre Trump daddy quote from 2017, trying to paint immigrants as animals. And you've seen the stories about some of these animals. They don't want to use guns because it's too fast and it's not painful enough. So they'll take a young, beautiful girl, 16, 15, and others, and they slice them and dice them with a knife because they want them to go through excruciating pain before they die. But the article goes on to explain, President Trump mentioned no specific examples of where or when instances such as these had taken place. Every accusation is a confession. That it didn't stop when he went to jail. Yep, someone else in another location is running it now. The psychos who do these things can't just stop. That the founder of 4chan, Chris Poole, also known as Moot, was in contact with Epstein, including meeting with Epstein the day he created /Paul/. Those familiar with QAnon will remember that it started on /Paul/. Edit. I found this article, and it's one of the best breakdowns I've seen so far about what all of this implies, and how it connects with the other things we know about Epstein. That these documents detail thoroughly how the rich and the powerful operate, and how they are basically untouchables who run the world. They are the deep state. We live under an illusion that we operate in a world after absolute rulers who operate with no impunity. If anything should completely shatter the myth of a Western rule-based democracy, it's these documents, and the fact that everyone in power was either trying to cover them up or were doing nothing to surface them. If the American people let this go, It's over even pretending we live in a free and just society. Political discussion board on 4chan. Some fucking loony shit goes on in there. There's a Wikipedia page about it. Reminder, Steve Bannon is involved with QAnon. While Bannon is like actually evil, a fascist accelerationist, check out the interview with Epstein, also released in the files. It's fascinating to listen/watch him manipulate Epstein, buttering him up, etc., until the last 5 minutes, and then doesn't hold back. The torture, death, and harm materials are withheld, and yet they say the investigation is over. Not only that, the files have the FBI explicitly stating that there are 10 co-conspirators, not clients, co-conspirators, but of course, their names are redacted. That every single one of us posting would be in jail until we were found guilty. Then we would be off to prison. We would all be in jail because we would be deemed detrimental and a danger to society. But not these people. Laws are for poor people. That this is only about half of it, that they deemed acceptable to release while it's still being heavily redacted. Half of the files, not half the documents. Fewer than 10% of the total pages have been released. That should fucking horrify everyone. They redacted a lot of names of perpetrators, but didn't blur faces of victims in some photos. The victims weren't the priority or even a thought when redacting. More insidious than that, those who need to cover things up now know who it was that told on them. I don't understand how any person doesn't think this cover-up is simply immoral by any standard. The details don't matter. Enough is known. The cover-up alone should be grounds for impeaching all of them. The way they lied and gave 4 different stories in 3 days was unreal. Not even believable lies either. Trump as an informant was ridiculous. That nobody is being prosecuted, and that the wealthy and influential are all going to get away with it. No one is going to do a day in prison. Yeah, what's crazy isn't that Trump hasn't been arrested, it's that no one has. All sides agree that there is clear evidence of a large-scale pedophilia plus ring. We've known exactly the main 2 people organizing it and have them in custody. And we have millions upon millions of files of every type. Emails, written letters, audio, video, pictures, everything. And not a single person outside Epstein and Maxwell have been arrested. There's not anyone, not a single person, who is implicated in the files enough to press charges or subpoena for investigation. The people you see on television regularly, including this week, were emailing with Epstein about child rape and torture videos. The most chilling thing I saw was a very simple email. Everything okay with you? Haven't heard from you in a while. Loved the torture video. There's a lot of horrific items in the files, but the casualness. I can't stop thinking about the implications. Edit. Got the wording wrong. Where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video. Edit 2. This was said by Epstein to Redacted in 2009. That there are probably 20 more Epsteins out there doing the exact same thing with the same people, and they don't care that we know now.